All right, today we're going to be talking about coterminal angles, and we're going to be talking about them in terms of positive and negative angles, as well as radians and degrees, so I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of talk about what these mean first. So in math, if you're drawing angles using our standard position, or what's called standard position, it means that we start drawing our angles from a very particular side of our axes. So that means we always start drawing our angles from here. It's the initial side, and we would say that that is the initial side of an angle is where that angle begins. And then which way you draw the angle determines whether it's positive or negative. So a positive angle would be an angle that starts to be drawn up from your initial side, and it could go like over here. Let's see if I can do this. No way. I better give you a shape. So then I would say that, oh, I don't need it to be. Guess I better extend my erase or my arrow a little bit more, huh? It's freaking out. So we would say that that is a positive angle, some positive angle. This piece right here is its terminal side. That is where the angle ends. Okay. This symbol right there, you'll see a lot in mathematics, in science and physics. It is the Greek letter theta, and it's used to represent angles a lot. So when in this unit, we're going to be finding equations and trig functions that involve like sine and cosine and tangent. And so the variable that we'll be using a lot is this theta for angle measurements. Now a negative angle could be an angle, let's see, that goes, let's make it go like over here. So a negative angle is measured down, and it comes around here. We would consider that to be a negative angle, and then this would still be its terminal side. So whether you draw an angle up from the initial side, up into the positive y values, or down into the negative y values, right? This would be considered a negative angle, this would be considered a positive angle. The other one you want to look out for is if you have an axis, it's okay if an angle goes for an extraordinary amount of time. So for example, if I had an angle that did this, so we start from my initial side, and it goes around one circle, and then it goes around a full other circle, and then it goes like a quarter of a circle. Well, this would be the angle. Let's see, that's 360, that's another 360, so 720, and then a quarter of a circle. 720 plus 90 would be 810 degrees. That would be another way to draw that angle. It's the rotation angle, how the degrees of rotation, right? And so you could see angles that go in that direction and be positive 810. I could go the other direction and be negative 810. So it doesn't always have to stop somewhere before it hits the initial side again, right? It could go past it. Think of it like clocks or hands on a clock, right? I could, if I'm going clockwise, it could go this way and pass the 3 o'clock mark a lot, or you could go counterclockwise, like if you're rewinding the clock, and it could keep going. So those are all different ways that we can deal with positive, negative angles, and then very large angles as well. So now, keeping that in mind, let's talk about coterminal angles. So coterminal angles are two angles in standard position, which just means that their initial side is actually here, and that's where we draw our angles from, have the same terminal side, but are different angle measurements. And so we're going to draw ourselves a little example, just kind of over here. So if I have, for example, so here's my initial side, I measure this angle up. This is a nice 90-degree angle. It's positive, it's a quarter of a circle, it's fantastic. However, you could go the other way with it and end up in exactly the same spot. Oops. and this would be negative 270 degrees. And so these would be considered coterminal angles, because regardless of whether I go up 90 or down negative 270 degrees, I end up on this same terminal side that's happening right here, right? Both their terminal sides are occurring right up there. And so these would be considered coterminal angles. Now the difference between them, if I did 90 minus negative 270, is 360 degrees, or a full circle. And that makes sense, right? If I'm facing north and then I spin backwards, or I spin to my right 360 degrees, I would still end up facing north, but my angle of movement would be different. And so when you add or subtract a full circle to whatever angle you're given, you'll still end up facing the same spot, but you will have added an angle measurement to it or taken away an angle measurement from it. So to find coterminal angles, you don't have to draw it every single time. You can just add or subtract a full circle. So for 45 degrees, for example, if I wanted to find coterminal angles with that, I could just add 360 degrees to it. I could add a full circle, and that would get me to, what's that, 405? So I would say that 405 and 45 are coterminal angles. And then you could do that again, right? I could add another 360 degrees, and I would end up with, what's that, 765? So all three of those angles would be considered coterminal. You could also subtract circles from it. So you could subtract the other way. Minus 360. We can do it one more time as well. Minus 360. So let's see, 45. Whip out the calculator for this one. I know, bad math teacher. Negative 315 degrees. That's a terrible negative symbol. You guys might just think I drew that for fun. There we go. If I did it again, that would give me, I think, negative 675. Right? And I could keep going. I could keep finding more positive and more negative coterminal angles for 45 degrees, but all of these would be considered coterminal angles. Regardless of when you spun a couple of more times, you'd still end up facing the same direction as you did when you were standing at 45 degrees. Okay, and so we can do the same thing even if our angle is negative to start off with. So if I take negative 250, I can add 360 to it, and I'd get 110. Or I could add 360 to it again, and I get 470. Or I could subtract the other way, right? Negative 250 minus 360 would give me a negative 610. Or I could subtract 360 more, and I get negative 970. So working with coterminal angles, and as far as degrees goes, is relatively easy. It does get a little trickier with radians, but that's only because it's been a while since we did 5th grade math, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So to find coterminal angles, we know that we have to add or subtract a full circle. Now in radians, a full circle is the angle measurement 2 pi. And so we're going to start adding and subtracting 2 pi to my given radian measurements, okay? When I start off with, so we'll start off with 5 pi over 2, and I want to add 2 pi to it. The problem is that I can't take 5 pi over 2 and then just willy-nilly add 2 pi to it. Technically, secretly, this 2 pi is over 1, and what do you need to happen in order for us to be able to add fractions? What needs to be occurring? Well, there needs to be a common denominator, and right now there's not a common denominator. And so to fix that, let's see, write ourselves a little note, need common denominator, or denom. Oops. So to fix that, I have to give this piece this denominator. So I'm going to give this piece of the denominator on the bottom by multiplying it by 2. And whenever you multiply the bottom by, you also have to multiply the top by. That's how we change the fraction to match so that it has common denominators, okay? And so really what I'm going to end up working with is just what does 2 pi look like when it has common denominators. And if I do that, really this part turns into, don't need that part necessarily anymore, really this part turns into 2 pi as something over 2 is really 4 pi over 2. So now I can treat this as that 2 pi that I'm working with, right? So every time that I'm adding or subtracting 2 pi, what I'm secretly adding or subtracting is 4 pi over 2. So it might be helpful to, instead of writing plus 2 pi, to rewrite it as 4 pi over 2, because that's just the way that it has common denominators, right? So now if I do 5 pi over 2 plus 4 pi over 2, that gives me 9 pi over 2. I'm going to use that line as my fraction line, right? If I have 5 pi over 2's and I add 4 more pi over 2's, I have 9 pi over 2's. And then I can do it again. So I can add 2 pi, aka 4 pi over 2. And so then I'll be at 9 pi over 2 plus 4 pi over 2 would be at 13 pi over 2. Awesome. Oh, I was doing this part in black, so we knew it wasn't my answers. Gotta stay consistent. Right? This is me secretly adding and subtracting 2 pi. I just needed to figure out what 2 pi was with a common denominator first. And then you could go the other way, right? I can do 5 pi over 2 minus 4 pi over 2, and then I can do it again. So 5 pi over 2 minus 4 pi over 2 is actually just going to be pi over 2. Oh my goodness, it's not even negative yet. I'll have to do one more thing, I think. Pi over 2 minus 4 pi over 2 is negative 3 pi over 2. And remember, my question asked me for 2 positive angles. Ooh. And 2 negative angles that were coterminal. I haven't reached the second negative one yet, so I have to do it one more time, actually. It's okay. What's that give me? Negative 7 pi over 2. There you go. So now I have at least 2 positive angles. I actually have 3 positive angles that are coterminal to 5 pi over 2, and then I have 2 negative ones that are coterminal to 5 pi over 2. All right, let's go ahead and we'll try this again. So we're going to do the same thing here where I want to be able to add and subtract 2 pi, but the problem is that 2 pi is secretly over a denominator of 1, and so I need to make common denominators first. So down here, I'm going to take my 2 pi over 1. I don't know why I wrote this one off to the side when I clearly left space for it right there. And I'm going to give it the denominator it needs. So this one needs a denominator of 4, so multiply it by 4 over 4. So really, when I'm adding 2 pi, what I'm going to be adding is 2 pi times 4 is 8 pi, and then 1 times 4 is 4. So when I add 2 pi, what I'm secretly adding is 8 pi over 4, because that's something I can actually add to 3 pi over 4. So 3 pi over 4 plus 8 pi over 4 is 11 pi over 4. Beautiful. And then I can add, oh man, stick with your color scheme. All right, I'll write these parts in first. Maybe that'll help. So I'm going to add 8 pi over 4 a couple of times, and then I'll subtract 8 pi over 4 a couple of times. When I do that, let's see, I'll get 11 pi over 4 is one of my answers. Then 19 pi over 4 is another answer. So these are 2 positive angles that are coterminal to this one. And if I do 3 minus 8, that gets me negative 5 pi over 4. And then minus 8 more, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, negative 13 pi over 4. Maybe I did just count that on my fingers. What's it to you? So there we go, 2 negative angles that are coterminal to 3 pi over 4, and then 2 positive angles. All right, last part. In this one, when I go to add and subtract 2 pi, I'm actually in luck because this isn't a fraction, so I don't have to worry about getting common denominators. I can just do negative 1 pi plus 2 pi, and then I can do it again over here, or I can do it again over here, but with subtraction instead. So negative pi plus 2 pi would give me 1 pi, and then plus 2 more pi would give me 3 pi. Negative 1 pi minus 2 pi would give me negative 3 pi, and then minus 2 more would give me negative 5 pi. So here are my 2 negative angles that are coterminal to negative pi, and then here are my 2 positive angles that are coterminal to negative pi. All right, let me know if you have any questions.